I'm Joy Edwards with the Edwards Law Group, and I've been helping people navigate through the divorce process for many, many years. They have a lot of questions, they have a lot of concerns, so I've made this video to help you work through some of those concerns before you even step foot into your attorney's office. I have 5 tips to what I call the touchy-feely side of getting divorced that's going to make the process smoother and easier for you. Because divorce isn't always just transactional. There's a lot of emotion that goes with it. Let's face it, there was a lot of emotion in the marriage. There's going to be a lot of emotion in the divorce. Let's get to it. The first thing I want to tell you about is don't act out of anger. It's hard to do, right? By the time you're filing for divorce, you have to have emotions. You're angry about things, what your spouse did, what you weren't able to do, what has happened with your children. And it's really hard to rein that in and be less emotional about it. But listen, acting out of anger is never going to help you. You can talk to a friend, you can talk to a therapist. We have a list of them that we can refer to you. All of those things will help you work through the angry part of this so you can show up being present and your best self to get the divorce done quickly and with the right amount of emotions to help you get to where you need to be at the end. The second tip I have for you is don't refuse to communicate with your spouse, your husband, or your wife. Again, it's been a process. At this point, you probably don't want to talk to them. You probably don't even want to see them. But the bottom line is, especially if you have children, you have to communicate with them. And frankly, the court is going to be looking at each parent's ability to communicate with the other to see where the children will really thrive. So don't just throw up your hands and say, I don't want to have a conversation with you. That's not to say that if you're not in the right mindset to talk to them, that you have to talk to them. Just don't make that something that you refuse to do all the time. It's okay to step back and say, not right now. We're not going to have this conversation right now. But then get yourself in check, get your emotions under control, and come back and have the conversation when in your mind you've worked through it and you're where you can actually talk to them about whatever that issue is. Tip number 3. Some of you are not going to want to hear this, but starting to date while the divorce process is going on, that's a big no-no. You're probably lonely, you're filing for divorce, so you haven't had the best relationship with your spouse, and you suddenly feel free. You're like, oh my gosh, I can finally get on with my life. You'll be able to, just let us get through the divorce process. If you start dating, your spouse is probably going to get angry that you're throwing this great relationship that they couldn't give you at them. And if you have children, it just brings bigger issues to the forefront where now we have to say, all right, so you're not going to have, whoever you're dating around the children. It's just best to wait. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to go out there and play the field and live your best life. Let's just get the divorce done first. Then you can date as much and as often as you want. Tip number 4 goes with tip number 3. Just told you don't start dating. Tip number 4, do not resume intimate relations with your spouse. What do I mean by that? Don't have sex with them. Cut them off. It's done. In Georgia, in order for the divorce to be final, you cannot still be having sex with your husband or your wife. We already know you're lonely. Just hold out. Once the divorce is final, again, you can have as much fun as you want to. If you feel like double dipping, you can even go back to having sex with your spouse after your divorce. But while the divorce is pending, do not, under any circumstances, have sex with your spouse again. Tip number 5, the final tip I have for you, is be honest with your attorney. We've seen everything. We've heard everything. There's nothing for you to be embarrassed about, and there's nothing for you to be ashamed of. We can only help you if we know all the cards on the table. There's no need to hide it from us. Just tell us. We'll be better able to defend you, and we'll be better able to prepare you to defend yourself. We can put your best case forward. Just tell us what your case is, and we can work with it. If you're considering starting the process of divorce, we have years of experience dealing with situations just like yours. Now is the time that you pick up the phone, schedule a strategy session with us, and we'll go through the very specifics of your particular situation to make sure that the process works for you and you come out of it winning on the other end.